chapter 2 of Get Honest or Die Trying, Charlemagne the God is talking about, well, he mentions the old adage of the tortoise and the hare, and how, the tortoise just plugged along slowly, methodically, just putting his work in at every step. The hare just thought, well, I'll just get there first, but I'm going to just slack the fuck off for a bit and fucking stop for a nap. And then when he woke up, he was mortified to find out that he didn't win the race. He wanted the quick finish. And I don't know if his analogy completely plays, to be honest with you, into what he was getting at, but I still got what he was getting at, and I think so will you. And I hope you've bought the book, and I hope you're reading the book along with me. But really what Charlemagne the God was getting at in chapter 2, is the value of putting in the hard work. Something that another pop culture icon individual who also somewhat recently wrote a book was getting at, and that is Arnold Schwarzenegger in his book, Be Useful, 7 Tools for Life. Arnold's message in his book is that you've got to put in the work. There are no shortcuts in life. And that's something that Arnold and Charlemagne get together on. Like, these guys need to get together for a fucking beer, guys. I'd love to sit down with a beer with both of these guys and talk about everything that these guys are sharing, because I think their message is sound and needed and necessary for this time. Everybody's just looking for that quick fix. No one's really wanting to stop and put the hard work in. It sounds so boomer to say that there's that there's reward in hard work. There is something to it. In whatever your endeavor is going to be, you're not going to get there overnight. In a previous video, I talked about the value of slowing down when I was talking about, giving AI the credence that it doesn't deserve in this AI artwork. And of course, I also copped to myself being too fast at times. And so, thinking about what Charlemagne was talking about, slowing down, putting the work in, I also listened to David Duchovny's podcast, Fail Better. He was speaking to Bette Midler, and they mentioned briefly the Latin phrase, festina lente, if I'm even saying it right. I'm probably not, because it's fucking Latin. And who speaks Latin anymore? Not me. And it's kind of an oxymoron statement about making haste slowly. What I was reading in chapter 2 of Get Honest or Die Lying, and what David Duchovny was talking about in, making haste slowly, the idea of these, the tortoise and the hare going fast, slow wins the race. A thought kind of popped into my head like, oh, this kind of sounds like the construct of finding flow, finding that place where you're doing something that you're passionate about, where the world slows down around you as you are able to act quickly. Maybe you're an artist that draws a lot, and as you've honed that skill, as you put in that time in the woodshed that Charlemagne the God talks about, as you put in that hard work, as you develop your craft, you find that you get into this place where the world slows down around you. I think it was Barry Sanders once described that just, when he would receive, he'd get the handoff and the whole field around him just seemed like it just slowed down. And he was just going through it, just bang, bang, boom, making his moves. And that was an instance of a man who was successful at what he did because it was his flow. And I just don't think that enough people are in an environment where they're able to find flow. I once heard an interview with Tony Gwynn and him talking about when he got to meet one of his idols, Ted Williams. And each one of these guys is generally regarded as like probably number 1 and 2, in whichever order you want to put it, as the best batter in baseball. And when they were talking about, like, okay, so, how do you approach what you do? And all I remember is Tony Gwynn going through just way too many fucking points to remember in your batting stance and just where you have your shoulders, your elbows, your knees, your hips. And me, as somebody who poses nude as an art model, it still blows my mind because there was a precision with which Tony Gwynn was talking about this. And with what he said that him and Ted Williams were just like kind of broing out about this. And just seemed just way too much for anyone to process. Superhuman. But these guys could just get into the box and get into their stance and have it. And were wildly successful at their craft because they found flow. And of course, I'm sitting here talking about flow and, we need to find flow and everybody needs to find flow and everybody should find that place and that. And I realize that sometimes that can be very difficult. Sometimes other constructs get in the way. I feel like flow is a very organic thing that happens to people on a very human level, if you will. Just when you've found where you belong, you know what you're doing it, and it just kind of happens organically. It's not something you can create by just simply putting pieces in place. I mean, yeah, there is the pieces in place, like putting in the hard work. And who am I even to talk about any of this? I'm just some fucking average guy who's not objectively successful. I know that. I'm just trying to find it too. And I think that's what brings me to understanding what some of the struggles in finding your flow is. Things get in the way of flow sometimes. And a lot of the times, those things that get in the way of flow is maybe somebody else's flow just kind of collides with ours, and then conflict. There are things, money, the capitalist structure, our work structure, institutions sometimes do get in the way of flow. And that makes things difficult. And therein lies the problem. Maybe finding our way back into the flow is just simply by being in the right environment. Finding your pack, if you will. It's one of those things that's kind of something of a guiding principle of myself. The way of the wolf. The strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. The pack hunts together. They feed together. They take care of each other. The better wolf you are for the pack, the better the pack will protect you, because you're protecting everyone around you. Your buddy to your left and your right, you've got their back, they have yours. We're all in this together, and we can succeed. So, again, as Charlemagne the God has politely instructed me at the end of chapter 2, as he has throughout the book, as he does at the end of every chapter, let's discuss. Please feel free to contribute to the discussion in the comments, wherever you're putting them, because I thought the comments went down here, but now it's been brought to my attention that maybe they're over here, or is it over there? Over there?
Over there.
Over there. I thought they were down there. Maybe they're over there. I don't know. So whether you're putting the comments down there or the comments down there, also give me a thumbs up, please. Oh, God, it sounds so terrible. Beg, like me, validate me. I hate that. It sounds so narcissistic. I'm not a narcissist, am I? That can go in. Oh, thanks for the nod.